Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July already, July the 2nd. It's the 184th day of the year. There are 182 days left in the year 2024, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. It's Independence Day week, or as most of us call it, the week of the 4th of July. 4th of July was always a fun time growing up. Barbecue, homemade ice cream, swimming if we could find some place to swim. They closed down the swimming pools in my hometown when integration came about. But living on the coast, we can always tell when it's a big summer holiday by the flood of people and cars in town. Just read the tags I've seen this week: Kentucky, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and others. Bathing suits, bikinis, alcohol. Lots of alcohol in some cases. Standstill traffic, lots of standstill traffic in all cases. But again, it's the 4th of July, and we hope everybody has fun, keep themselves safe. Our G-List guest today is Annette Seda, a certified yoga instructor. She supports healthy, functional living, a former Air Armament Center contractor at Eglins Air Force Base. She describes her journey to yoga as catching the bug. She completed Yoga Alliance RYT 200 certification to teach. She'll have to explain to us what that is. And that says the more she trains, the more information that she wants to share. So we look forward to having that discussion. Our show today, of course, is sponsored by the Best Girl Consulting Firm. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Best Girl customizes the solution that fits your needs. So let's get to our roundtable regulars, Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Tom. I'm doing well, sir. How are you this morning?
Doing very well. What's going on in your world?
Well, Tom, I wanted to share with you all some sad news that I read about. There's a West Virginia couple who has been charged for allegedly using their adopted African-American children as slaves. They adopted 5 children and kept them locked in a basement, only to bring them out to work on their farm and do the cleaning and cooking at their home. And for years they've been, they were doing this. And finally a neighbor and a teacher said the children looked malnourished when they would come in public. And the sheriff went out to check and found the kids locked in a basement room, said the door was locked from the outside. They couldn't get out. And when they walked in, the room was covered in feces. The children were desperately underweight and malnourished. And when they questioned the parents, they said, well, they were our children. We could do whatever we wanted to with them. Of course, they're being charged criminally. And what is this world coming to? It's just a sad time.
How old were the children?
The children ranged in age from 6 to 17.
Wow.
Yes.
How'd they get them? They went over and adopted them?
They adopted them. These were children from American citizens. They went through their adoption process, adopted them. It doesn't say if they adopted them all at the same time, if they're their siblings, or if they were separate adoptions. The story didn't go into that much detail, but they adopted 5 African American children and treated them as nothing but slaves. And the kids they were so happy that the sheriff said that they were so happy to get to freedom. They just clamored to them and would not let go when the sheriff opened the door and saw the conditions they lived in.
How'd the sheriff find out?
Someone reported that the children looked malnourished when they saw them. I guess a neighbor or someone saw them outside and said, we haven't seen these children in a while. They don't look well. Someone needs to go and do a welfare check on them. Okay. And that's how they found out about it.
All right. That's tough.
It is, really
Um,
is tough.
let's get Michael Walker on here, and we'll come back to you, Barbara. Good
Okay.
morning, Michael Walker.
Good morning, TG. How are you this morning?
Well, man, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Hi, Barbara. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. And yourself?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good.
What's happening in your world, Michael? And hopefully it's better than what Barbara just told us.
Yes.
These children, my God.
Yeah, that was disheartening. That's a gut check right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's yeah, I don't. Oh man. Anyway, go ahead, Michael. What you got for us?
Well, former President Trump and current President Joe Biden had a debate last week, and most people saw it. Mark Cuban decided that he would ask Chat GPT which politician would the AI BOT hire for a job based on the televised debate. And it was interesting. He posted the results. He said that the Chat GPT said Biden has extensive experience in public service, empathy, and social awareness. However, the cons for the 81-year-old included a lack of coherence and clarity, focus, and consistency. And then when he asked him about Trump, he said, Trump has assertiveness and confidence, economic focus, citing the 78-year-old's emphasis on financial performance and business acumen. On the negative side, it says he uses a lot of hyperbole and exaggeration, slamming his grandiose claims that might raise concerns about his reliability. And the bottom line, it says, I would not hire either one of them based on the debate.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a debate, really.
No,
It was
not at all.
sad, really.
Yeah, it's interesting that Cuban asked ChatGPT about that. And what words did they say about Trump? He used grandiose.
What's the organization he asked about it?
Chat GPT. Have you heard of that before?
It's artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. And people can use that. It'll write a term paper. It does all kinds of stuff. So he went to Chat GPT to ask him about Biden and Trump. He said Trump was assertive and confidence, economic focus. And
In what ways?
Never answered a question.
Right. He never answered that one question. Yes. And when he did, what he did say was all lies, but he wasn't answering the questions at all. It was presented to him.
Yeah. Well, can you guys tell me? I know Trump misspoke, but he's going to get thrown on the bus for this. What is a black job?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that one out also.
I don't think he misspoke. I think he meant what he said.
He meant exactly what he.
All of us know what he was talking about. He was talking about low-level, entry-level jobs that he feels where black folks should be working. That's. I mean, they've always been quote black jobs. I mean, maybe y'all didn't grow up with it, but I grew up with black jobs, and you knew where you could go get a job, and you knew where you weren't going to get a job. So I don't think he misspoke. I think he meant exactly what he said.
And I guess taking away DEI, that's what we're going to get back to. I guess there will be things known as black jobs because, yeah, you're right, Tom. Certainly back in the 50s and 60s, there were jobs that designated. No, you couldn't get anything but those type of jobs. Right. So I guess that when
you had neighborhoods in Birmingham, if you were driving through that neighborhood, you better have a lawnmower or a rake or something in your car because you have no business over there if you did.
Right.
You could go to jail for that.
Yeah, you're right. But it made me think about the time, Tom, when you and I had our situation and I interviewed for the job and they said I had to wait for an EEOC job. I guess that was a black job.
No, you were
black
trying
position.
to get a job that wasn't a black job.
It was the same job, but it just wasn't designated for a black person.
No, and he's not. But actually, and I was working in employment at that time, and so we had this job come up, and Michael was perfect for the job. He was overqualified for the job. And so I called him and we talked about it, and he went for the job. And, so I checked back with the district manager afterwards, and he told me, he said, well, we don't have any black jobs right now. But when we get a black job, we're going to hire.
So Michael,
and I was new to the, what was I going to say? What was I going to do?
Right.
I told Michael what happened.
Right.
But we went, we did what black folks always did. We figured out a way around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, that's what I thought of, Tom.
My black job in November is to go to the voting polls and make sure everybody I know goes to vote. So that will be my black job in November.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but I heard, and I haven't been able to get in touch with Missy Jackson had brain surgery.
No, I haven't heard that.
Barbara told me that. Not Barbara. Gloria told me that, and I tried to call, but his number went to voicemail, and then they said the voicemail wasn't set up, so I figured they were trying not to get any calls, because I know I've left voicemails before. I think his brother's with him, is what I heard. Gloria told me, but I've tried to get back in touch with him, and we don't know, so hopefully he's okay. But they said he came out of the surgery fine, so hopefully he's doing well. But I thought I'd bring a little better news to the subject. But he was my roommate for a couple of years. In a lot of ways, he was my little brother.
Right. One of my big brothers.
Yeah. Well, that's why I figured you might have known about it.
I have not heard anything at all about that.
And I understand if that's pretty serious surgery. If he didn't want anybody, he didn't want people.
You may want to tell some of the listeners that do not know who Mitzi is, who he
Mitzi
was.
Jackson played football at Auburn. He was my roommate for a couple of years, and we've been good friends ever since we played together. And just a good guy. He taught in the public schools of Birmingham. He's retired, and I'm just trying to catch up with him and make sure he's okay. So, but I think what's his name? JB is in touch with him. So
JB,
okay.
But Gloria was checking on him, so I don't know. All I know is what I've said. So anyway, what else you got, Barbara?
Well, Tom, not much better news, but there was a gentleman in Houston who was sentenced earlier last week for making racist threats to kill Maxine Waters. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that's just really insane, and I don't know if it's a full moon or something going on, but this gentleman has made numerous phone calls to her and threatened to kill her and even some of her family members. So he was finally sentenced on last week. What is this world coming to, really? I mean, seriously.
I think it was, I don't know, you just get to the point where you do what you can do, and that's all you can do. Michael, what else you got?
The only other thing is one of Trump's cohorts, Steve Bannon, is being sentenced to 4 months in prison for contempt of Congress, where he refused to testify regarding some of the shenanigans they were pulling. So he's going to be taken away right now.
So he reported yesterday, I think, Michael?
Sure did.
But I thought I understand he reported to federal prison, but I thought he was not going to be serving time in federal prison. Was that changed?
Well, according to the article yesterday, it's 4 months prison.
Right. So, yeah, I know it's definitely prison, but I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that it would not be a country club federal type prison.
Right. Well, I don't know what type of facility is going to be, but and he's predicting that the worst thing that the Democrats could do is to remove Joe Biden from president. and bring somebody else in, that it would just make matters worse, and there's a lot of talk about that. What do you guys think? Do you think that Joe Biden should resign or he should be replaced?
As far as serving his term now or on the ballot?
To run for president again, because that's what he's campaigning for right now.
Right.
So there's a lot of talk that based on that performance and that, he's showing more and more apparent cognitive decline, they're concerned. And so there's a lot of talk in Democratic circles about maybe finding somebody to replace him or what have you.
This late in the game, Michael, I'm not sure that would be a great idea.
That's a dumbass idea.
Yeah.
That's a stupid idea to me.
Right.
And when they started talking about it, it didn't make any sense. If you were in Alabama in the 1990s, that's how Guy Hunt got to be governor.
Right.
Because Baxley and Beasley shot themselves and they killed each other off, who were the leaders for the governorship. And we ended up with Goober. And that was
Cooper. Appropriate name for him, yeah.
he was a goober.
Okay.
No, I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was when they started saying it that night. And quite frankly, again, Van Jones and whomever else, I thought they were just they weren't the kind of consultants I'd want working for me.
Not at all.
And so no, I don't think so. I mean, I think if you had maybe a more substantive opponent, but you got a really weak opponent in Trump, and so go for it. Now, what I would keep him there, but what I would do is I would surround him with Kamala and the woman from Michigan and the governor from Illinois. A lot of very proactive, positive women.
Right.
Because the opponent has an issue with women.
Right.
And so that would be how I would go at him. Joe Biden's 81 years old. What did they think he was going to do? Come out there and dunk a basketball?
Right.
I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't see that, and I wouldn't do that. But whatever they decide to do, they ain't asked me. So.
Right, and they talked about his Joe Biden's cognitive decline, but he left the debate floor, went to address a group who was at a watch party for the debate just minutes afterwards, and spoke clearly, did not stutter, seemed to have more energy. So I don't know what it was that happened during the debate, but that was just a small.
Clyburn said it was information overload.
Yeah, it very well could have been.
Because you could see him trying to reach for things,
Mm-hmm.
trying to reach for information, I guess, that they had given him.
Right.
But
it is a known fact that when people start to have some cognitive issues, that they go in and out of lucidness, and so that's not anything.
I never saw that, Michael, and I didn't see that. Maybe you saw something different from what I saw. Yeah. I didn't see him losing anything. I saw him trying to remember information that he had been programmed to spit out.
Right.
But who would you rather have? Somebody who maybe makes a mistake or a liar?
Right.
I'll take the guy who makes a mistake. I don't want.
And the liar is going to make lots of mistakes too, probably every day. So again, you of the two, definitely Biden would be the better choice, most definitely. I know there are people who feel differently, but
yeah,
they have their own personal agendas there.
Well, that's just the way they feel. I don't know that an agenda. They just feel differently. Michael sounds like he's for Trump, so that's the way he feels.
Right, right.
I'm not for anybody, to be honest with you. It's just very poor choices that we have, and
but those are the choices.
Yes, exactly.
And have you all seen this Project 2025 that people are bringing up now? Michael, are you familiar with the Project Project 2025?
No,
I heard it's like a 920-page document that the Republicans have put together as their plan for the future. And, in that it talks about, basically taking away DEI, LGBTQB advancements that have been made. And it's just a long laundry list of things that they're planning to just wipe out. Of course, some of the federal government agencies removing their power. So it's like an agenda that they have that over the next several years. Yeah, if they're put in office, I think they will do that. But it's scary. It is definitely scary.
and it's called the what? The 20 what?
Project 2025.
Okay. Interesting.
I never heard of it until after the debate the other night, and someone mentioned it, and I looked into it, and yeah, it's a vast document. Again, like 920 pages of information of the plans that they have to get rid of. It's the DEI, CRT, all of those buzzwords that we've heard a lot of Republicans use, and I won't say Republicans, MAGA Republicans use. And
Thank you.
again, it's really scary to think that that's the plans they have for this country.
I don't see how they can do that unless they just got total control
Well,
of government.
Well, if a certain person is elected president, he plans to be a dictator. So he will just ramrod everything through. I mean, that's how they'll plan to do
He
it.
can't do that unless he's got majorities in both houses.
Well, you've got the Supreme Court that's over all of them, though, Tom. They'll change the laws in a second. So
I think that there's I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that floats around. I don't know. I'd be interested to see how that turns out.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from you guys? All right. Well, let's go to Sean. She's got a minute for us. Sean, you out there?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. Happy birthday, America. Independence Day is celebrated on July 4th each year. This year, America will celebrate its birthday as independence was achieved from Great Britain following the Revolutionary War. So what y'all doing to celebrate? As for my family, we have pool parties, barbecues, and you guessed it, fireworks. Fireworks are a staple of many Independence Day celebrations. The enormous colors displayed lights up in the night sky all across the United States. Fireworks has been a great American Independence Day tradition since 1777. Happy Independence Day, everyone. May you all remain safe. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Thank you, Sean. That's good. Fireworks, huh?
Yes.
You doing fireworks, Barbara?
No, I'm not doing them personally. I hope to watch some, though. I'll go and I have the fireworks on the mountain here. So
That's right. They do, don't they? Remember
yes,
that?
yes,
They have them over the water down here.
right.
Okay. All right. Anything else from you guys? So let's go to our G-list guest. Our G-list guest, Hollywood's got the A-list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G-list, and our G-list guest today is Annette Seda, a certified yoga instructor with tips and tools that allows one to find support for healthy, functional living. So let's welcome Annette to the show. Good morning, Annette. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this morning.
I appreciate it.
So tell us about how you got started in yoga. I know I've got your background. You loved ballet growing up, and then you were a computer nerd at some point, and now you're into yoga.
Yeah, I had growing up, I had a love for math, and I had a love for ballet, and I had to choose one or the other. come time to go to college. So I chose the math, and I wound up in computers and in systems engineering and building Air Force smart weapon systems and all kinds of stuff like that. But I was retiring from that and discovered, and I was still doing ballet as a form of exercise and a hobby, but it was beginning to take a toll on my old body. So I turned to yoga. It's a gentler form of maintaining movement and functionality, and I just fell in love with it. And I wanted to know more about it. I had a mentor who worked with the Air Force and also was a yoga master teacher. And she was finding that yoga was helpful. She worked with PTSD, with treating the airmen who were suffering from the impacts of the war. And she got into yoga and was able to influence the Air Force into offering yoga as an alternative treatment to the medications. The medications don't always do the trick. And so I was fascinated with her story and took the 200-hour registered yoga training so that I could teach as well.
Okay, well, Barbara's got a question for you.
I do. Good morning, Annette, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about the many benefits, because I actually have tried yoga a couple of times myself and enjoyed it. I don't know why I don't stick with it, though. It seems like, I guess it's just never really been convenient. If it was a class taught closer to me, whatever, but talk about the many benefits of yoga.
I can tell you that yoga it offers like a toolkit. It's not for everybody, and certainly I think the benefits are long. It takes a while. I had a student who came in, wanted to know when he was going to be able to touch his feet, over and touch his feet.
Right.
I said, well, how long did it take for you not to be able to touch your feet? And he got that. But the point was that it's a slow process, and and it's not, you want to listen to your body and absorb what is good for you. So I try to teach in the sense of bringing your attention into the body, because I can tell you what something to do, and it might be right for me, but it might not necessarily be right for you. Right. So, but I did get into yoga because I have a propensity for inflammation. If my body goes awry, I start having autoimmune issues, and I feel soreness, and I have unexplained swelling and stuff like that. So I got interested. And in the long
run, can you hear something there?
And then I was able to get off of it. And so it's I also did some other lifestyle changes and tried to watch processed food and just to become more healthy. And that's my interest in yoga, is to use it as a way to keep functionality and to keep movement and to be healthy.
Right.
And the more I learn about it, the more it has a lot to do with your spine and with your nervous system, and relating your movement to your brain, and making that connection to the brain is also one of the healing parts of yoga. But it takes a lot of concentration. So I'm constantly, when I'm teaching, asking you to feel, to bring. So we're not necessarily like a popsicle. like a brain on the top of a stick. We have that brain is connected all the way down to our gut, to our toes, and we have to follow that connection. And sometimes we just take it for granted and need to be woken up to that. And, but you were talking, Barbara, about the children.
Yes.
And the traumatic experience. That's also one of the reasons I was interested. And the mentor that I started with talked about ACE, the adverse trauma experiences, ACE, adverse childhood, maybe experiences. And almost all of our disorders, all of our aches and pains and chronic issues quite often can be traced back to childhood issues. So that was another interest that I got into, trying to learn about the brain and connecting our movement in order to heal past things. Our body keeps a score. Our body remembers everything.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Michael.
Yes. Good morning, Annette. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Michael. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. I want to ask you something and go back to another part of your life, and that's dealing with the military and designing and programming weapons. Tell me, in your opinion, what's the most important weapon in the U.S. arsenal? And the flip side, are we really behind our adversaries when it comes to defense?
Oh, I did. So I was dedicated to keeping us ahead of our adversaries. I don't. I think we're losing, and I think under the last administration, we lost some of our edge. But I believe that we maintain the edge. We look at. I hear talking about President Biden and talking about the presidency, that our president is the most powerful person in the world, possibly, certainly the most powerful person in the United States, but quite often considered the most powerful in the world. And I think that speaks to the power of our defense. And we do have a Department of Defense, not a Department of Offense. And one of the I'm a pacifist at heart, but one of the justifications for working on our defense system was to keep us powerful so that nobody else would mess with us. I'm not crazy about using the weaponry, but it has its place, and certainly, as in the Ukraine, I hope that it serves those folks well, because they're fighting hard for our freedoms too. Is that the whole question?
Yes. And I understand there's probably things that you can't really say, but the other thing is, you mentioned something about peace through strength. And would you care to expound on that just a little bit? I think I understand that theory, but from your perspective, what does that mean? And I think Reagan used to say that
simply
too.
Put, that a country won't fire at us because they know that we've got a bigger weapon to fire back. And I mean, that's not proving itself. That doesn't always prove itself. It's not proving itself in the Ukraine right now. That, of course, we're not the ones fighting. They're picking on a country that they can fight with, but we have the potential of supplying some of that power to the Ukraine. So you would think that the adversary would think about that before continuing to annihilate innocent folks, but they're not. So then that's when we have to pull our cat out of the bag and use it. And I'm a peaceful person, so it bothers me, but it has its purpose. It has its purpose.
Annette, we've got one of your students here today, so I think she wants to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay, thank you.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Hi, Dr. Gossam.
Hi, Annette. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Good. So my question is on behalf of all of the sometimes stumbling, bumbling, falling, off balance students like me, how do you're so patient with us in a class, and you're so non-judgmental of us and giving us the grace to stumble and bumble and lose our balance and not do the positions completely correctly. How do you maintain that patience? How do you not get irritated and annoyed?
I am not. Oh, I appreciate you guys' patience with me too. I am not perfect. I know that nobody's perfect. We're all different, unique individuals. And yeah, I come from a ballet background. I really try hard not to make it. I mean, ballet is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love ballet, and I love the perfection of ballet and working for perfection. And I don't think that's our purpose in yoga. So I really work hard not to turn it into a perfect form class.
Mm-hmm.
We all, and I just, you know, judgment is no place in a yoga class at all.
Mm-hmm.
We're all at different places in our lives, and functionality for you or for me or for someone else is going to mean something different. And as long as people are moving and working on their balance, then we're taking leaps forward. If we're getting if we're getting awareness all the way down to our toes, it's just something that we don't do on a daily basis. We take our feet for granted. We just walk on them. They do so much for us. And so thank you. I work on the patients. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to get feedback that it shows a little bit. Thank you very much.
You do.
Having Tom and Joyce in my class.
Yes.
Okay.
And Joyce has continued as a practicing yogi, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate you. You said it takes time, and I can attest to that. What I can say is that from January to now, my balance is better. Like, I can now stand on one foot and put my sock on, and I couldn't do that last year. I mean, I would have fallen over and busted my head open, but I still, hop a little bit, so it's not smooth, but I can do it. I can get a sock on my foot one at a time while standing. And so I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference in when I walk in the mornings and putting my heel first and consciously putting the ball of my foot, but not my toes, down in my shoes as I'm walking, and letting my toes rest, I guess, is what they're doing while I'm walking, instead of walking on my toes while I'm walking. So I highly recommend it. I've got fewer aches in my joints. I have fewer difficulties with reaching or bending, and I can touch my toes now.
Good.
Well, everybody can touch their toes if they bend their knees.
No, Tom. No, darling, that doesn't count.
Y'all didn't specify how you touch your toes. You just said, "Can you touch your toes?"
Without about bending your knees, Tom.
Okay, now that's a different thing.
You can bend your knees a little bit.
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons I would never really stick with yoga when I would try it. I'm so hard on myself that, after a couple of classes, I'm thinking I'm already supposed to be touching my toes and being able to
Yeah.
stretch like other people in the class. And it's like, okay, it's not good for me. But yeah, maybe I just need to be a little bit more patient with myself.
Patience. Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
really,
because I absolutely did feel better. I had more energy. I slept better at night. And again, like you were talking about, it didn't feel as sore and didn't have as many, much inflammation. And so there were truly some benefits to it. And I probably just need to stick with it for a longer period of time and allow myself to just grow into it.
And you can find
So
yourself.
Barbara, finding a class that offers you alternatives, and that's one thing that I try to do.
Yes.
I mean, I have all different age groups, but a lot of seniors. And
Right.
So teaching the class from the standpoint of, so if you can't touch your toes, use a chair or use a block and touch the block.
Okay.
But work into it and use those alternatives so that you do feel like you're accomplishing.
Right.
And progress is slow. But you know what? It's a journey, and we're on this journey for the rest of our lives.
That's so true.
Got time.
So true.
yeah, it's consistency and time, I think. I've
Mhm.
gone every week since January, with a couple of exceptions where I was out of town.
Right.
And what I find is that I end up in the mornings before I walk, I'm doing a lot of the yoga stretches
Yes.
before I go walk as well.
And Joyce, you taking the class just 1 hour per week, or is it multiple times? Okay, week.
Nope, just once a
Okay.
week. We've been like advocating and pushing Annette to add another class. The students,
We're going to try to get classes
we've
going.
been like lobbying for another day.
Air Force Base as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I spend a lot of time. I also take my own classes, that because
Okay.
I want to continue. I feel like a sponge. The more I can absorb, of course, then I want to share more. So,
Right.
but I can't. There's a limitless amount of information related. I mean, yoga goes back 5,000 years.
Yes.
And there's so much wisdom from 5,000 years ago. There was no recording, so it's passed down in songs and dance and movement before it could be written down. But it's amazing when you start studying what the wise people were saying. It's not that different from what we are saying today. I don't know how familiar you are with the chakras, but there are energy spots that kind of come up our spine to our head. And those energy spots have measurable, you can take physics right now and you can measure energy in the spots that the ancient yogis identified as energy spots. And I think that's just fascinating.
Yes. Wow. And another, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Barbara.
I was just saying, another thing that I struggled with yoga is breathing. They talk about the importance of breathing a certain way. And I think I'm just so used to my normal breathing. It was hard. Trying to focus on the breathing. I wasn't doing the other steps. So it's a combination of having to do those things together. Talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the breath work is actually what makes yoga kind of a unique form of exercise. So a lot of people come to yoga for more flexibility and for exercise and for movement. But the focus of yoga is the breath and doing the movement with the breath, which makes it a little bit more unique. Okay. So the yogis use the development of muscles in the poses, and there are standard poses that we go through that are meant to exercise and strengthen say the core, or say, the different muscles, and specifically to strengthen them so that you can sit and breathe deeply and meditate and sit comfortably. I mean, how many people can just sit for 10 minutes comfortably, cross-legged? I mean, that doesn't even sound comfortable on the floor. So part of the work of yoga is the breath, and the breath, and we improve the breath by strengthening the muscles. And then we examine the breath a lot. So if I tell you, notice how you're breathing right now, Barbara, you are going to immediately slow your breath down, probably. I mean, for the most part, you're going to slow it down. You're going to follow it and possibly take it a little deeper, just because I asked you the question. Take your focus to your breath. And so, yeah, we do a lot of mindfully breathing as low as we can go, getting the diaphragm, and it's actually the diaphragm and the pelvic floor that work in sync. And it's more of a wave-like, it's more of a wave-like motion, not a clenching.
Right.
And finding that rhythm, and then matching that rhythm with the movement into a pose where we go up, breathe in, and we go down, exhale. Starts to strengthen the muscles and get your breath deeper. And breathing deeply is cleansing. I mean, that's one of the healthiest things you can do. So from the standpoint of chronic problems that we are facing a lot in our Western culture, yoga provides an alternative. At least I'll say a toolkit to, so that it's not just medications that might solve your issue. Yoga, and the other thing I like about yoga, and emphasizing the functionality and just doing movement that you're not used to doing, is I forgot what I was going to do. I think I just pulled it. I just pulled a Joe Biden. Sorry.
We all have those moments.
Yeah. So, but trying to deal with chronic pain, trying to deal with chronic diseases, and trying to, I know what it was, trying to stave off these things. So I had mentioned in my bio, I guess, that I got into building weapon systems, the procurement of smart weapons. I actually worked on the B-2, so I did help build that. But working on the weapon systems, you have to put a lot of systems engineering into it. You have to decide what the risks are. You have to hold those risks off. You have to do things that ahead of time, so that by the time you're assembling a very expensive airplane or weapon, that kinks worked out. And I think that I have poured that interest into yoga, where if we treat our bodies and pay attention and listen to our bodies and learn to train ourselves to feel all the way down to the gut and listen to our gut, not just the brain, that we can possibly hold off chronic diseases, chronic problems. I always say, so sometimes I say when we go into a pose, so it might be a little dis-ease to hold that pose, hold it a little bit longer, because you're staving off disease. So a little dis-ease, your limit, is a way of maybe addressing future disease. And, maybe there is science that supports the benefits. I'm not a therapist, and I encourage people to look at yoga then as part of the toolkit.
Okay. Michael, you're very much into strength, working out, and so on and so forth. You got anything you want to ask Annette anything anything in addition to what you've already asked?
Well, I wanted to ask her about hot yoga. I noticed that you talked about yoga and hot yoga. Could you explain the difference between hot yoga and the benefits thereof?
I am not a hot yoga practitioner, so I would not be a good person to talk about hot yoga. What I have heard from students is there is a sort of a routine that you go through, and it's a little probably more oriented to aerobic and possibly pretzel type movement, which I don't promote. I don't promote yoga for the sake of getting into a pretzel shape, shall we say. I am also a person that breaks a sweat if you look at me. So I don't need to be in a hot yoga class myself to break into a sweat. So I'm sure it has benefits to some folks. It's not something that I have pursued, and but I do. I know it's a strenuous aerobic type workout. It moves faster, and it moves more, shall we say? So it's one of these more. If you think more is better, then go check it out.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions?
Annette, when you compare yoga to like a class, how do they compare? I mean, it's of course the benefits of exercise benefits. Are you getting the same type of results or same type of benefits from both of those type of classes? I said a yoga class versus say an aerobics class or another strenuous exercise class. Comparing the two, if it's our yoga class versus an hour-long aerobics class, which is most beneficial? Does it depend on what type of goals you have there, or how would you compare those two? If someone was trying to decide, whether to get started on yoga versus going to the gym to an aerobics.
So we all need both. Would be my best answer. We need aerobic workout, and the yoga workout is different. So I look to yoga in my practice is exercising more mindfulness, more brain work. It's sort of a mind, body, and soul kind of integrated movement. Whereas if I am going to do an aerobics class or take a long walk, well, even on a long walk, I'm going to get into the spiritual possibly, but I'm going to look at it for calories and for how much work I can do. In a yoga class, I'm going to look for more how much how many neurons I might be able to create in my brain. How much connection and how much I can feel. Maybe that long walk this morning has a muscle that's sore, and maybe I need to do something to take care of that muscle, because I probably didn't pay as much attention in my aerobic workout as I will in my yoga workout. But I think we need both.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else from anybody?
I think we should still have a class on Thursday, even though it is the 4th.
I would, Joyce. I actually, though, my other half, my husband is going in for some surgery, and I will be in the hospital with him on Thursday, holding his hand. So I won't be able to.
Well, prayers for that. Prayers for that. And one thing, Tom, if we still have time, one thing I want to mention that's really cool about Annette's class is that she will bring members of her family who have their own amazing talents. I think was it your daughter who sang for us, who chanted for
Yeah,
us
my daughter's
during our Shavasana at the end?
my husband's daughter, and she is a singer out in Santa Cruz, California. And so she has a well-trained voice, and she sings mantra for us. And I really love it. And then I had my son, who is a ballet dancer. He's also from out west, and he came and took a class. And he's so he's got the ballet background, and everybody. But yoga's challenging for him because he's trained to that turnout and that perfection and all. So it was also good for him. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
So find a class, Barbara.
I will have to do that, Joyce.
Sounds like you need to find a class. Barbara.
Yes, it does.
Find a class.
Class I used to go now. Before I went to the next class, I used to go to this other class a few years ago, and we would go down there, and at the end, you know, they tell you to relax, and everybody kind of just lays out and relaxes.
Right.
So I relaxed a little too much. When I woke up, everybody had packed up and was leaving.
I've had that happen.
I was asleep.
Yeah, you really got
Anyway, I
relaxed.
enjoyed it. Anything else? So
Thank you so much, Annette.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Annette.
calling me. I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate
It was
it.
fun. You were right.
Thank you. Where's Sean? Are you? Okay, let me give my closing comment for today, and I'm going to go back earlier, and I'm going to just for a minute talk about Ronald Reagan and how he nodded off during one of the debates. Couldn't find his thoughts, sat there and was waving his head and it wasn't a big deal for everybody. Nobody said he should have dropped out of the race because he couldn't remember what the hell he was talking about. Driving, he started talking about something totally unrelated, driving down the highway in California. Anyway, I mean, so stuff happens. But my closing comment for today is about Mother Dolores Hart. I was watching Turner Classic Movies. That's my favorite thing to watch. I'm a big movie guy. Movie called Come Fly With Me. And one of the stars, Dolores Hart, looked up. Dolores Hart, after that film, she decided that she wanted to be a nun. So it turns out she's a mother, and she is now a mother, but not a mother who has given birth to a baby, but a mother superior in a convent of nuns. Dolores Hart is an American Roman Catholic Benedictine nun and former actress. She made a movie debut with Elvis Presley. She made 10 films in 5 years. At the height of her acting career, she left acting to enter the Abbey of Regina Laudis Monastery in Connecticut. She is now the mother superior of that monastery. It was interesting too, because she broke off her engagement to her Los Angeles architect boyfriend when she announced that she was going into the monastery, but they remained close friends. She admitted that she loved him. She says, of course, Don, I love you, but every love doesn't have to wind up at the altar. They never married. He visits her every year at Christmas and Easter at the Abbey in Connecticut. He did every year until his death. An interesting story from Dolores Hart and her vocation. So, and that's it for this July the 2nd. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. If you got an extra one, give one to someone else today. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.